So if he wants to win statewide, he's going to have to moderate, and he's going to have to create some distance from Trump. If he doesn't, he's going to get hit hard, especially with independents.
And it's really hard to moderate off of we don't know who won the election.
Welcome to Independent Americans. I'm your host, Paul Rieckhoff. It has been a busy 24 hours. And Pete Hegseth, the acting Secretary of Culture War, and Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff Dan Kane have been testifying on Capitol Hill. We've got 3 troops recently killed in and around the Iran war. And we had an Arizona primary happening. I have been hitting the media airwaves, I've been hitting TV, and I'm going to give you a quick special recap of those. I'm tired. I sat in a chair for 2 hours today during those hearings listening to Hegseth. But here are the highlights of what I think you need to know. I'm actually coming to you from inside 30 Hudson Yards, which is where CNN's headquarters is. But rather than a full episode, summertime, we're going to keep it real. We're going to improvise, adapt, and overcome. If you haven't heard my episode with Dr. Vin Gupta, check that out. We talk about smoke. We talk about diarrhea lettuce. We talk about testosterone in the military. But this is a time, very much a time, not to check out, but to stay vigilant. I hope I can help you stay ahead of it. So you'll have my special media episode with my hits from MS Now and from CNN. And I'm here at the headquarters of CNN. This is the Vessel. If you've never seen it, it's an amazing architectural creation in Hudson Yards, juxtaposed with the American flag. That flag is still hanging. We got to stay strong. And most of all, especially now, stay vigilant.
Breaking news, all eyes on Arizona tonight, where Trump's power faces a major test once again. As voters go to the polls tonight, Trump-backed MAGA candidate Congressman Andy Biggs is trying to win a very closely watched Republican primary for governor. And there's a lot on the line for President Trump's endorsement tonight, because when it comes to governor's primaries, Trump has suffered 2 recent high-profile losses. Those are in the primaries in Iowa and Georgia. Biggs' primary opponent is Republican Congressman David Schweiker, who has consistently won in one of Arizona's most competitive congressional districts. He argues that the party can't gamble with a MAGA taking on Democratic incumbent Governor Katie Hobbs in the fall. So everyone is here with me. We got Jamal, and we got Paul, and we got Essie. Essie, let me ask you, just as you look at it tonight, does this look like a win for Trump?
I think Andy Biggs is going to win the primary tonight, but in very much the same way that Texas Senate is going to be a rough general for Ken Paxton. I think it's going to be a rough general for Andy Biggs. It's remarkable. MAGA has been trying to win in Arizona for a while, and they have not cracked the code. And I have a lot of affection for Arizona voters. I lived in Arizona as a kid. I have family there. I'm plugged into Arizona politics. They are independent, right? And they choose who they choose. They like John McCain. They liked, going back to Barry Goldwater, real independent kind of guys. And MAGA has not been able to field the right kind of candidate. They keep putting up Looney Tunes. I was talking to someone plugged into Arizona politics today who said if they would just nominate someone normal, this would be easy. I think Arizona voters want to vote for a Republican really badly, but candidates like Andy Biggs are making it really hard. We'll see if he can pull it off in November, but I think he's going to win tonight.
And Paul, Biggs is, yes, he has been trying to highlight his partnership with the late Senator John McCain. And I'm going to talk about what the McCains are doing now in a moment. But when it comes down to it, Biggs is a Trump man. He's a Trump man, and he's a proud Trump man. I mean, just listen to this.
Who won the election in Arizona? Donald Trump?
We don't know, because as the audit, it demonstrates very clearly, Mr. Raskin, there are a lot of issues with this election that took place. If anyone is persisting in telling a big lie, it's members of the J6 committee.
I mean, Paul, I'm going to say that's even different than we're hearing in recent days from people who are, at least they'll say, Biden was certified. They may not say he won, but they'll say he was certified.
Yeah.
Andy Biggs is saying we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even a whole nother step.
And I think that's a losing strategy in Arizona because Essie's right. Arizona is a very independent-minded place. I think roughly 34% of the voters there are independent, which is higher, I think, than the number of Democrats. And aligning yourself with John McCain would be a winning strategy. That's the kind of Republican Arizona's like. They like a veteran. They like a maverick. And if you look at recent statewide elections, it's been someone who's a veteran, who's moderate, like Gallego, like Kelly, that's been successful statewide. So if he wants to win statewide, he's going to have to moderate and he's going to have to create some distance from Trump. If he doesn't, he's going to get hit hard, especially with independents.
And it's really hard to moderate off of we don't know who won the election, Jamal.
Independent Americans, if you watch or listen to this show, you know the 2026 primaries are taking shape. You also know you can trade on the biggest political races on Kalshi. With Kalshi, you can trade on major primaries, election outcomes, and the biggest political storylines as they happen. And it's primary season, going into the biggest midterms ever. So you can trade on, for example, the Maine Senate election. Graham Plattner is out now. Troy Jackson will be up against Susan Collins. Right now, Susan Collins is trading at 36%, which means a $100 trade would pay out $265.86 if she wins that election, which is right now where I'm putting my money. The big one, who will be the presidential nominees? On the Democratic side, Gavin Newsom trading at 19%, meaning a $100 wager will earn you out $473.45 if you want to get on the Gavin Newsom bandwagon, or AOC, Rahm Emanuel, Buttigieg, Andy Beshear, Mark Kelly. Who do you think it's going to be? They're all up there. And on the Republican side, J.D. Vance trading at 40%, meaning a $100 wager will earn you out $239.90 if J.D. Vance becomes the nominee. Donald Trump Jr. is up there. Donald Trump himself is up there. Tucker Carlson, Ivanka Trump trading at 1.3%. They're all there. And finally, a fun one. Will the U.S. confirm that aliens exist? Because this year, you never know. If you say it's before 2027, there is a 7.2% chance. If you say before 2029, that is trading at 24%, meaning you will earn on a $100 wager $388.29. So you have more money in your pocket when the aliens get here. Look, on Kalshi, you can trade against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. As the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your positions. And for a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code INDEPENDENT. That's independent like independent Americans to get $10 when you trade 10. Kalshi, Kalshi, trade on anything. 18 and older, restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Even contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and availability in the markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. Independent Americans, there is a lot going on, and you can trade on all of it on Kalshi.
It is hard to do that. Listen, people believe that Arizona is a red state. And maybe it is, but it looks awfully purple to the rest of us, right? You've got a Democratic governor, you've got 2 Democratic senators. And I think that most people in the state, as Essie just said, probably would be open to a Republican if they were normal. If they just could say the things that, low taxes and, business regulation and all the old stuff that people used to like Republicans for. But
more
these
libertarian.
days, more libertarian. But these days you can't get Republicans to do that.
All right. So, Essie, let's talk about John McCain, because, as I said, Biggs is trying to say, well, these are the ways in which he had worked with the late Senator John McCain. But John McCain's wife, Cindy, is fundraising. And she's not fundraising for Schweikert. She's fundraising for the Democratic governor, Katie Hobbs. Okay. She's fundraising for the Democrat. I mean, just think about what that says from Cindy McCain. What is the impact of that on Arizona voters?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she would put it this way. And full disclosure, I'm friends with the McCains, but this is sort of Cindy's revenge. What MAGA tried to do to the McCains in Arizona, these, really beloved public figures in the state, was appalling. Not only did they try to tarnish his legacy, but they lied about the McCains. They said awful things about the McCains. Carrie Lake in particular, just despicable. That turned off a lot of Arizona voters. I think MAGA really wanted to win without John McCain or move past John McCain because of Trump's sort of like, hurt feelings with him. But Arizona Republicans are saying, no, if you want to win, you should act more like John McCain and sound more like John McCain. And so I think that's what Andy Biggs is trying to do. I'm not sure Arizona Republicans are going to buy that.
So, Paul, when you look at this, then you're coming into the general, and you have had some Trump victories for Congress, right? Some far right, and then you've had some far left victories. Okay, so there's a problem on both sides, perhaps. When you look at the fundraising, though, you look at everyone just this assumption that because of history and because of the current context, the Democrats are going to do really well. And then all of a sudden, the generic ballot polls started coming out, and it didn't look so overwhelming. And that's just a poll and whatever. But the money came out, and that was unbelievable. Republicans have $541 million, $500 million more cash on hand than Democrats. That's just the latest FEC filing.
Yeah.
That is a massive difference.
It's a huge war chest, and they're growing it, and they're going to bring in a lot of dark money and outside money, and they're going to unload. And I think what we've underscored for months is the primary problem, which is that both parties are putting forward more and more extreme candidates. Now we see it in Arizona with someone like Biggs coming from MAGA. We saw it in New York with the DSA and the socialists who are putting folks more forward to the left. And then ultimately it's going to be a battle for the middle. And the money is going to be targeted almost exponentially on independents. In a state like Arizona, 34% of people who aren't Democrats, who aren't Republican, and that's where that money is going to be focused. It's another example of how broken our politics are. The primaries are broken, campaign finance is broken, and this is going to get really nasty.
He tells me the left and right are dreams for those without a clue. And when you wake, it's time to grow. And it's not cool to believe in school, but if I can say one thing, I've seen the children of the revolution and the good trouble they can bring. He says the red and blue are dead and independent is an attitude. An island in the sea of rhetoric and archipelago. He tells me the left and right are dreams for those without a clue. And when you wait, it's time to grow.
Powered by Righteous Media.